Coming up next on Walking with Dad.
Are you brave enough to take those leaps of faith that require you to get to where it is that you want to go? Because every man has a place that he's trying to go. You're leading your family somewhere. You're leading your organization. You're leading your people somewhere.
Welcome back to another great episode here at Walking with Dad. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in again this week. We have a special guest today. He is not a stranger to the platform. For those that have already been tuning in and for those who have not, our special guest today is a friend of mine. He reigns from New York. He is a character nonetheless, but he is very knowledgeable. I would like to say beyond his years. We've gotten a chance to chat about a few things offline. And of course, from the time of him being on the podcast before up to this point. And so without further ado, I don't want to take too much more time with the introduction because I feel like today's conversation is very much so going to get a little bit deeper into the last time that he was up here. So without further ado, our guest today is none other than Cashmere Robinson, Trading with Cash.
Nate, how you feel, brother? Good afternoon.
My man, Cash, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good. It's a blessed Sunday. And again, I'm excited to be here with you and your audience. Thank you.
Hey, man, I appreciate your availability and your time, man. And from the last time that we got a chance to speak, man, just your expertise and your insight on everything, man. How has your day been going?
Man, my day has been productive, bro. Like every day, it has its challenges. My day starts at 3 o'clock in the morning in the gym. And, it's Sunday. So, spiritual time, family time, a little time of reflecting, and then getting prepared for the week. So, to say the least, it's productive. It's going according to plan, bro. Going according to plan.
Man. All right. So coming out the gate, even with that. So let's talk about that. So you say your day, and that's not just today, like being a weekend, but like any given day. Your day starts at 3 o'clock in the morning?
26 and 7 days out of the week. Yes, sir. My day starts at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm in the gym roughly, I'll get there about 3:30, 3:45, and then I'm there from 3:45 to about 6:15, 6:30.
Okay. So let's go through the rest of the day. How does the rest of a typical day for you usually look like?
A typical day for me is filled with meetings, insurance meetings. But the bigger part of my day is a lot of planning with my organization. So, I still do a lot of trading as well. So I'm planning out the schedule for the day. So I know you've been a part of some of our calls as well. So I spend a part of my day engaging with my team, just to make sure that everybody's on the right track. Everybody has their own goals, and just making sure they're doing that. And then I immediately proceed into my sales business, where it's meetings. It's a lot of different moving parts to make things happen.
Sweet. So the juggling, I guess, of the two, or just taking on the responsibilities between the trading and your sales business, is there like split evenly, or is it like a little bit more toward either of the two?
That is a very good question. And I don't want to say that they're split evenly because I believe that there is no such thing as balance. So one is more on autopilot, so to speak, as the building with the organization, and the trading side is a lot more so I'm more hands-on with that. So one business I have more systems set up in place, and the other one I'm establishing some systems and establishing some leaders that can do what it is that I do. So not to say you can take your foot off the gas, but I can continue to develop and work with people at different levels at different times.
Sweet, man. Sweet. Okay. So that's the basis of your day. Starts at 3, winds down how late?
I want to say when we wrap up our trading calls, about 10 o'clock.
Dang. You said 6 out of 7, six out of the 7 days of the week is like that.
Yep. So Tuesdays I kind of like make like my late day, my default late day. So on Tuesdays I'll probably get up at like 5. I'll force myself to stay in bed a little bit later. I kind of push my schedule back to do things a lot later on Tuesdays, if I do anything at all. I think that's one of those days where I know we talked about it before, but Tuesdays are some of the days where I look to do a lot of things for myself, making sure that my nails is done. Men should do that. Make sure that their nails are done, pedicure, shape ups, that type of laundry, cleaning, pick up my dry cleaning, that thing. But then also it's one of those days where I lock in with my therapist. So I'll set aside like an hour session with him, and we'll go through things just to touch base. Doesn't mean anything is necessarily wrong. Everything is going great. but just as a touch base to bounce some things off of someone else.
Cool. And why Tuesday of all days?
So when I first started the network marketing space, and I was like running heavy, we would have our weekly meetings on Tuesday where I would teach down on Wall Street. So I never really changed that up. So I would always teach in the evening from, let's just say, like 7 to 9, 7 to 10. So Tuesdays would be the day where I wouldn't want anything to interfere with me teaching my class in the evening. So I always kept my calendar clear for Tuesdays, and Sundays are my lighter days kind of throughout the week.
Sweet, man, sweet. So we're not going to overlook what you just mentioned, because obviously that's important. And for however long that we stay on that, it'll just be what it is. But you mentioned seeing your therapist, and then also that, things don't necessarily have to be going bad per se for you to meet with your therapist. But how important has that been for you to establish that relationship of having a therapist in place and maintaining that?
It has been one of the biggest secrets, so to speak, because it's so taboo to talk about in our community about going to therapy and like that. Like sometimes you'll say to a person like, "Yo, bro, go to therapy." Like, let's just say, him and their couple are going through something. You're like, "Bro, I should probably go to therapy, talk that out." We ain't going to no therapy. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So it's taboo to kind of say, but that relationship has been monumental in my life. And it's very, very important to say that it has been absolutely monumental. When I've studied the lives of a lot of people that are in my sphere that are successful, and then you can also extend this out to a lot of people that are very, very successful that you don't know. A lot of them have therapists and coaches. So there has to be something in that connection, and I'll leave it at that, between having a therapist and a coach that allows you to go ahead and transcend to your next level, whatever that level is. Because, for us on this call, we're relating it to fatherhood. So what I like to kind of make it a blank statement, success, and then you can fill in whatever that is: faith, family, finance, Forex, fatherhood, whatever that is for you.
Okay. And how long have you personally been partaking in having a therapist in your life?
3+ years now.
Cool, cool.
Yep.
All right. And so, how is that type of conversation or relationship to just simply, I guess you could say, check in or tap in with your therapist? Because, like how you had mentioned that, and obviously by default, we tune into therapy as being for the bad. Things are going, downhill or whatever. I need a therapist or whatever. But, you just simply tap in or check in just because, like, how is that type of relationship for you personally?
It's been great, but it has had its challenges because it kind of forces you to put a mirror onto yourself. You have to challenge a lot of the paradigms, the ways that you've been thinking, that really make therapy beneficial. So, he recommended books that I should read and different things, and even, attended some of his services and different things that he provided, because my therapist is a pastor. So although we don't always discuss God, it's an element that's always present when we talk. So one of the things that we talked about from the last conversation was building a network, right? Men need a network of men.
Yeah.
The reason is so that you can bounce your ideas off of other men, but then also you have examples of how things can get done. So I like this concept of brick by brick. You can, when you have a strong circle within your network, you can take something from each person brick by brick and build your own home. Now, here's the other part of that. I can take a piece from you, I can take a piece from you, I can take a piece from you, and then build my own version of manhood, right? As long as it aligns and it doesn't, conflict with your moral compass, so on and so forth. So I can take certain things from this individual. He's hardworking. This individual, he's dedicated. This one I can learn money management. This one I can learn fatherhood. This one I can learn business planning. This one I can only talk to speak about faith. And then you have your friends with all we talk about is basketball. That's it. All we talk about is basketball or cigars or something like that. So my therapist is just one person that's in my network that allows me to continue to grow and be better.
Tough, tough, nice. So, man, I gotta let that one marinate. So, having those circles, or a circle rather, I wanted to take a second to reword that. How do you, or how does one go about establishing a circle? I think we had touched on last time. Maybe we have total and complete introverts, and then extroverts, outgoing and all that. How does one go about establishing a circle
Great question. And I think that's one of those questions, right? Even in my industry, people always come up with like, how do you continue to grow a network? How do you continue to reach new people, as we say, add to your list? My thing was this. I wanted to network with people that were moving in a specific direction. So a lot of times when you're growing up, you already have certain people that are going to be in your network, from your teachers, right? Professors, people in your church, so on and so forth. One of the things that I started to do was I started to do things that challenged me. So going to the gym allowed me to expand my network. So a lot of people in the gym with some really cool concepts, or they do different things that you would never think. Like one of my business partners, cool as hell, bro. Like literally fitness guy, huge, man. He got a whole business in in South Africa that he built from the ground up. Like he's building an entire home complex. Another friend of mine lives in DR, built his, bro, this shit looks like a mansion from the ground up. Now, if this person is in your network, you don't think he could teach you something about real estate, buying land and building? You don't think maybe he knows contractors and different investment opportunities? So one of the things that I would like to say is you got to challenge yourself to go do different things, go join the gym. We all have phones. It's the age of communication, technology. Meetup.com is dope, but don't get into just things that you specifically like. So I don't just go to meetup groups about sales. I go to meetup groups about biking because I like to ride a bike. I go to meetup groups about cars. Like Facebook groups are a great way that you can continuously expand your network. Going to events. This was something that I always pushed when we were in my organization, was going to events that were outside of yourself. So, there's a lot of company events and there's this convention. As we talked about in the previous video, being a part of network marketing exposes you to events where people are doing things differently. Mm-hmm. When events, you have the ability to network with a Riyad Jones who's, doing things and smashed it in his business. That's someone that's now in your network. Even if y'all don't do business, there's a lot of things that you can take and gather from him. And I'm sure Riyad is going to be a guest on your future show as well. So, that's reaching out to your network. But how did you meet him? Through some associations outside of what it is that you're doing on your normal 9 to 5. That means that you got to take a risk. And as men, we should do that. So expanding your network is getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, but going to do things that you're interested in. You got people that are going to watch this. They love bowling. Man, go bowling. Go shoot some guns. Legally, go to a gun range or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Get trained and all of that. But the NRA is an association. There are people who are avid about shooting guns and training. Go to the boxing gym, mixed martial arts, pool. Find something that you're interested in, even to the introverts. Gaming, computers, something like. Find those people that are moving in the direction that you're going in, and then hang out with them. And if they're successful, there are things that you're going to pick up. There are things that you're going to be able to learn from them, and add them to your network, which makes you a whole human being, which makes you a whole man. So when you go through issues with your family, children, you could jump on the phone and ask someone a question and say, hey, listen, how would you handle this if you were in my situation? Maybe I'm crazy, but can you explain this to me? You'll jump on the phone with your therapist, but we in the community, we don't do that. We don't do therapy. We just go to church. We don't do therapy. We just go to church.
Oh man. So
I'm telling the truth, right?
Yeah, I can't stop laughing at that one. Yeah. That's an ongoing truth. Unfortunately and fortunately at the same time.
Correct. Because there is a place for it, right? There is a spiritual foundation. There's a lot that we learn, but there are other things that other people are doing that are allowing them to be successful. So yep.
Yeah, man. I was conversing with my wife earlier today, and we brought up things that are just so much of tradition. And I was just talking with her about like a lot of times tradition could be related to the statement of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It might not be broke, but sometimes things can be breaking.
Correct.
And it's like, we care to not want to fix it because it's not broke. And then it finally gets to that point, and it's like, well, trying to stick to tradition and things like that. We could stay there for forever though. But I have a question for you that I also had asked earlier today to someone, which consists of, and this is in life, this is fatherhood as well. I believe it's Les Brown that has the quote of, it's the start that usually stops people. So with creating like a network or meeting new people or just whatever, career-wise, whatever, expound a little bit about the importance of just getting started all together. And my reason for asking that is because, get back up, fall, get back up again. Some people don't even care, don't want to get back up. And then, that just becomes their life story. So expound on that a little bit for me if you could.
Absolutely. And I wanted to gather this in the right way to kind of say it. It really becomes at a certain point about embracing what's difficult. So I want to relate this to fitness because I think that that's something that's in everyone's control. It's challenging to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym, right? Like it was challenging to go from 363 pounds, and I sent you the pictures. Like was huge to now, 297, 300, a muscular build. Like it's challenging to do that. It's challenging to eat right. But when you're growing up, depending on how you grew up, so this is why when you're younger, you get it like involved in sports, right? Or some type of extracurricular activity that is challenging to you because it teaches you that to be good at something is a challenge, right? Like you're not just going to come in and be the best at it. So sometimes I don't think it's always a person starting something. I think that we run away from the challenge because how many people do you know? You can look at the statistics. I'm losing weight in January, and then you never see them in March. Like gyms run specific ads during the start of the year, December, for a specific reason. But they already know that about 50% of those people are never going to come to the gym. They're going to sign up, but they're never going to come to the gym because what's challenging? Waking up early in the morning, balancing life and saying, hey, no, I can't go out tonight because I still got to get up in the morning to do this. I'm in the sales profession. A lot of people back away from that because it's challenging. You get rejected all day long. People don't like rejection. So when you're growing up, these are things that you learn are a part of the game. And those who go through that rejection win. It's sports season. We all love Steph Curry, even though he's in and out of the playoffs, whatever it is. But go document how many shots he missed throughout the season to make him great. We don't embrace that challenge. So when there's a challenge that we run into, what we're supposed to fall back on is our discipline, right? You're supposed to set the goal and then fall back on the disciplines that get you there. It's a different mindset that gets you there. The mindset that gets you there says, despite how I'm feeling, I'm going to go do it tomorrow. It's the same thing as being a father. Despite how I'm feeling, you still got to provide, protect, right? You still got a role to do. You probably tired as hell as a man, and truthfully, probably nobody cares. But you still have a role and an obligation to your family that emotionally you can't get in. You can't, I don't feel like doing it today. You do that for a month and see how long you and your wife still have this good relationship. Like it doesn't work. So what I like to say is masculinity, being a man is it's embracing the challenge and rising to it. Wherever you are in that, I want to say spectrum, wherever you are on that level, is getting up and doing what you're supposed to do every single day, despite how you feel about it, and then challenge and growing a network that encourages you to change. So getting around people that are doing things differently than you do. If you're making $60,000 a year, get around some people that's making 80, 90. The conversations are different. But you don't just get around them. Here's the challenge. You may have to change your career. You may have to change the things that you do, right? You got to change the things that you do to get some of their results. It is what it is.
Man.
See, that's why we had a part 2, because we was talking off. It's going to be a part 3. I'm going to just tell y'all that right now. It's going to be a part 3 to this conversation because it's evolving. Yeah. So, go ahead.
Yeah, man. While you were talking, I heard for some reason I heard risk to reward while you were speaking because we do not usually want to take the risk, but we do care for the reward.
That's correct.
And it's like from what you were saying, we don't care too much for the challenge aspect, but we do want that celebration after the fact. Like obviously of your fitness journey so far and how much that you've lost, how much weight that you've lost, turning the fat per se into muscle. That it's like you can celebrate something, but obviously you don't stop just right now because I can imagine that there's still a higher goal that you still want to seek out.
Is an image of the way that I want the end goal to be. So one of the things I learned was start with the end in mind. So I'm in construction. When we're redoing a home, when things have to get done in a home, there's an architect. The architect draws up a blueprint. The blueprint is the end result. Now, along that journey, it does happen. Things go wrong. The architect will file blueprints. You'll get holdups from the city. You're going to have roadblocks and challenges. But do you just stop? Because if you stop, here's the thing in my business: if you stop the construction, you don't get paid. Who the hell don't want to get paid? You don't get paid, right? So it's just again, it teaches you so much more about life because again, you run through roadblocks and obstacles and things that are going to happen. They're going to be men, young men, that are going to view this information in all different walks of life. And I can tell you, at 35, I remember being fired. I remember doing everything right, coming into roadblocks and challenges, as I said, and then coming into the company saying, hey, we're going to move in a different direction. What do you do then? Do you fold? Yeah, I took a day or two because I had never been fired. I had never not had a job in my life. But again, protector, provider, man, those things are innately in us. Those are the things that we do. So you fall back into your circle, and that was an interesting thing. My network was the reason that I'm in the industry that I'm in now. So when I'm telling individuals to go to those meetups, listen, I don't care what nobody says. Join a network marketing company. Join something that you're passionate about. Dive into it because that creates a level of exposure. You're going to be around people that do things differently. That it's so interesting. But I sent you the scripture. You know not how God is going to do those things that are on your blueprint.
Yeah, man. I have had a past with being exposed to throughout my 20s, actually, fortunately, both network marketing, like the two of the not so cared for, I'd say, industries as far as network marketing and also timeshare. So both sales obviously didn't do that great. But needless to say, was definitely exposed to a lot of different things, a lot of different great information and education. And with that, it's been said that within network marketing, not specifically network marketing, that's an opportunity that can lead a lot of people to a lot of different leadership opportunities. Like I said, a lot of the education. Some people are led to belief, as far as belief in Christ or belief in God altogether. Because, and I go ahead and say it, in some instances, it's been said that network marketing has been more truer than people attending church every week because it allows for that truth of a person to be revealed or exposed. As it's been said, that numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. And as one can attend church every week or profess to this or whatever, you can't lie in network marketing.
That is correct.
You will be exposed one way or another. I think it's some tactics, I guess you could say, that people have come to not care too much for, given network marketing, that negative connotation. But
That you're thinking about, and I did not mean to cut you off, but I was going to lose it. It's something that says that you go from faith to faith, right? So a lot of people that are listening to this, like, you're going to set some goals for yourself, and I hope that every person that's listening to this already has goals for themselves, and if they don't, they get actively involved in doing some goal setting and planning for their life. And along this process that we talked about of believing, talking about the things that you want, getting exposed to it, creating that experience, and then getting around some people and creating a network of people that already have what it is that you want. Going from faith to faith, you're going to have the wherewithal. You're going to get like that urge to do some things that may seem strange to you, but when you do those things, those are the things that ultimately set you up for some of your biggest blessings. And I say that to say, like, there's a lot of individuals that have come through my organization and they made a lot of money trading. And I'm thinking about one of my business partners specifically. He killed it trading, like to the point where he had his own system in our company on the platform. Like him and two other individuals were already teaching you guys their trading system using it. Was right up under the Levels platform. My partner Mitch and my sister Patty absolutely crushed in trading. And then Mitch went from faith to another level of faith. And he said, Joe, I want to build the e-commerce business because I see that passive income is the thing. Like I see that, we trading, but you got to sit down and trade. It is a job. You got to sit down and trade, right? You got to, despite what it is, you got to look at your setup, so on and so forth, but you do have to sit down and do it. He said, Joe, I want to build the e-com business. He used those same principles that we was talking about here, making 10 grand a month, which is just a vibration, which is in our organization is a rank. And I'm not going to disclose the rank because I'm not exposing any company, something like that, right? But that same income level is a frequency. So the truth is, when you go from faith to faith, you're going to be urged and nudged to do certain things. Do you have the confidence to actually do them? Are you brave enough to take those leaps of faith that require you to get to where it is that you want to go? Because every man has a place that he's trying to go. You're leading your family somewhere. You're leading your organization. You're leading your people somewhere. Or most importantly, you're trying to lead yourself somewhere. So while we're having this conversation, I'm encouraging individuals to get into fitness. I'm saving people's lives. Some of you that are going to view this later, and some young men, you're going to start going to the gym. Some of you guys are going to you're going to add years on your life by hearing me say I was 363 pounds, fat, and couldn't see my thing when I looked down, to now being under 297, muscular build physique. When y'all drop the pictures, you can show them, bro. And you can show them yourself. That's going to save someone's life. Somebody's going to sign up for Planet Fitness. Somebody's wife is going to hear that, or a daughter, and say, Daddy, you need to get in shape. Somebody is going to hear that, and that's going to prolong your life. So what I'm saying is that from faith to faith, you're going to hear information on this call, and you're going to bump into people in your network. Somebody's going to say, yo, get into sales, maybe real estate. Yo, go take a look at this job. Yo, these people are hiring. MTA, and if you act on them, those are the things that if you act on them, that discipline of learning to act in spite of, those are the things that lead you closer and closer to your goal. So when I was talking about my partner, Mitch, he wanted to build an organization that was over 500 customers. We know what that number is. He wanted his organization to be over 10,000 a month. He didn't get it. Watch this. He didn't get it. He did it trading. Then God said, I got something again, because you kept believing. He did it with an e-commerce business. The goal was the same, but did you care about the how? No. You don't care how God's going. You just know that God is going to do it. You just got to set up the right systems in place to make that thing happen. Faith to faith, bro. As everybody's listening, as our men, as the young men are listening to this call, as our young kings are listening to this call, you're going to move from faith to faith to faith. But you have to be bold enough and disciplined enough to take that leap of faith. You got to do those things. You got to do those things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's a great teacher who has passed away recently. Of course, you know, I can imagine you've probably met him, got a chance to hear him, but Bob Proctor.
Yep.
And how often that he would just speak about crazy enough, I gotta admit, a lot of that he was teaching about that I got a chance to hear, you know, shortly before he passed. It was good information then. It's even better now because it's hitting in a different way. So he would just obviously teach about the power of imagination. And you know, for me, that kind of takes things back to Genesis, but also how it relates to the writing down of goals. So it's like, you know, writing the goals down, obviously speaking them, and the repetition. And just recently too, I was listening to it's a book, obviously, once again, you probably read it, probably listened to it as well. But it's a physical book, audio book, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, right? And he just keeps speaking about, you know, doing a certain thing in a certain way. So if you could, man, take us through the importance of establishing a goal, making sure to write down that goal and the importance, and then sticking with it. And obviously, you know, faith to faith, that goals change as well. The goals ought to grow. But take us through that process if you could. Once again, establishing the goal, making sure to write it down, and then sticking to that goal.
One thing I would challenge you with is that the goal doesn't change. So if you're starting from your house to my house, and I gave you the address, the goal doesn't change. Your goal is to get to my house. Now, there may be obstacles and things that move you along the way, whether it's construction, right? Bridge, you need gas, so on and so forth. But the goal is to get to my house. But the truth is, you don't care how you get there. So if the GPS tells you to make a left and it extends your trip, you don't care how you got there as long as you get to my house. Goal setting is the same thing. You want to start to set goals, and I think in specific areas. So for our men that are going to view this, you want to set a fitness goal. So you want to go get an image of what it is that you want your body to look like. You want to set a finance goal. So whether that be, I put it in two components, which you're earning and then with your ability to save. Faith goal. Regardless of your religion, the foundation of every man is their faith. God, Allah, whomever. universe, you name it. You want to have a faith goal where you take some time that allows you to grow in your faith, right? Excuse me. So we got faith, and then you want to put into your family. You want to carve time into your schedule that you spend specifically focused on building with your family, doing something with them, going out to eat, family reunions, a barbecue, inviting people over, playing cards or spades. Don't care. You want to set some specific time aside that you're focused on working with your family. Faith, family, fitness, finance, and then also Forex. But for this specific one, I don't want to incorporate Forex. I want to incorporate whatever investment tool that anyone on the call is going to utilize. So you need to be in a constant state where you're learning new skills that allow you to increase your income. And then ultimately, you want to start to grow a network. You want to start to build with like-minded people that are in the areas that you want to go into. But the problem is we think everything is free in our community, and it's not. So you're going to have to be willing to tithe, invest in your own future.
I like what you did there.
I know that into your future, and then you're going to have to speak that reward that you want. But the challenge is you're going to have to get involved in industries that allow you to do that. So if you're working a job at the post office, I love the post office. Everybody need their mail, so on and so forth. If your goal is to make 100,000, 250,000, you're not going to do that at the post office. It's just impossible. If you're a maintenance porter like myself, depending on where you are, I will say that you're probably not going to make the top of the income chain. I had to really go to classes, boiler license, sprinkler license. There's certain things that move you up in the industry, but you got to get involved in an industry that allows that to be possible. Network marketing was one of those industries that allowed those income levels to be possible for me because there was no cap on my income. Sales is another one. There was no cap. There's no cap on my income. It just is what it is. So what I would encourage is as you set these goals, you're going to have unctions and urges to do something different. I'm not saying quit your job. People did that. I did that myself. It was crazy. Quit my job, bro. I was like, I got a year's worth of money in the bank. I'm out of here. I'm going. It was hard. It was hard. I don't encourage everybody to do that. But in our generation, the beautiful thing is that you can work and maintain your job, and then you can build a business or learn other skills that allow you to earn additional income that can go into your family that hit your goals. So the beautiful thing about it is you know not how. And I sent that scripture to you. You know not how. So if the goal is $10,000 a month, what I learned from my mentor is that you really don't care if like you making $3,000 or $5,000 from your network marketing business, right? You making an extra 2 or 3 grand trading, and then you got your other money coming in from work. You really not sitting there saying, God, no, I just want it all this way. You saying, this right here. Thank you, Lord. You start doing like Chris Tucker, just taking it out the end. Thank you, God. Thank you, Lord. So that was one of the things that I learned. But sometimes we're so attached to the outcome, whether it's in one specific vehicle or not, that we miss the blessing. And that was a testament to my partner, Mitch, who chair, I want to hit this rank, 10 grand a month, 10 grand a month. And then he did it in the trading side. And then he also built the e-commerce business that's now paying him over 10 grand a month. This was an individual that was in his basement when I first met him. And he only got started because he seen my watch. And he said, any person that got that watch must know a little something. I'm not going to get into that, no income plans, but it's a nice watch. Your favorite pilot, when you on a flight, has this watch on. That's all I'm going to say. When you go into Miami and all that, your pilot has this watch on. And it's interesting that, again, he set that thermostat where that was his specific thing that he liked, right? So he was saying watches, or maybe that was his thing that we talked about. And the mentor that came in that guided him to get to where he needed to get to had on the watch that he specifically was the reason he got started in our industry, learned the information, crushed the trading, transitioned over to e-commerce, and has built an amazing business for himself and his family. We talking about somebody making 10 grand a month, and he was in the basement of somebody else's house. He got his own house now. And he'll come on, and we're gonna do a combination call with this, bro. I got another father that's in my network that I'm gonna extend to your network because we know each other, that can tell you about this process that he went through going from living, where he was at, buying his first home, and how that all started when we started to do these networking events in different locations that gave him an exposure to houses and things that he did not have. And he said, damn, if he could do it, I could do it. If God will do it for him, he'll do it for me, because God is no respecter of person. He only responds to the principle.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, man, that is major. That is major. And what I can imagine when getting the chance, or rather, I'm gonna just scratch everything I just said. When I get the chance to speak with Mitch, I know that he's gonna touch on that as well. How where I want to come from is this, I guess you could say, preconceived notion that for a man or a father to be a provider, obviously there's the component of financial. Do you feel and or agree that financial provision is either that high on the totem pole or all there is when it comes to providing for your family, for your kids, or in your case, for your child? Rather?
Answer is no. Answer is no. And I know that we've done that, and we've created that in our society because of Instagram and social media and all this other. The answer is no, because most of us don't make the type of money that people on our Instagram and social media pages that we follow, or that we're unconsciously, subconsciously adapting our lives to. No, because if I look it up, less than, I think it's about 90% of the population make over $100,000 a year. So we're unfairly judging ourselves based on some standards that are unrealistic statistically. My dad was a huge influence, and I think he was like security guards, the very most. Did a couple of things because, as like we said, in our previous video, he had his struggles with drugs. So yeah, he didn't make a lot, but he was very instrumental in teaching me discipline, structure. He was the first man that, again, your dad sets the thermostat. He was the first man I seen getting his nails done. Always making sure that regardless of wherever he was, he always had a suit on. You would never think this man had a drug problem because he always had a motherfucking suit on.
Wow.
Suit and tie, suited and booted.
Wow.
Suited and booted. Always had a job. Even when he would fall off, and I'm sure I'm going to send this to him, even when he would have his struggles with drugs and let's just say miss work for 2-3 weeks, the job would be calling the house asking to make sure he's okay, and his job is still secure whenever he come back or get it together if he wanted the job.
Wow.
So I say that to say he struggled in terms of financially. He did the best he could. But the things that we talked about this before, the things that I relate to my dad aren't financial. It's discipline, it's structure, it's consistency. This man had a crazy work ethic. If you fuck up a job and just leave it for 3 weeks, and they like, yeah, whenever you get it together, your job is still here. I think there's something in that work ethic or what it was that
Got
it
to
was
be
in there that was kind of attractive that these people tend to like. So I learned a lot of those things. So I don't think that it's all financial. I do think finances is a major component of it, or has become one of the major components of it, just because of the time that we're in. So like it's hard to get housing, different things like that. There are expenses that come with living life. So, but the biggest thing that you learn from having a male presence, a masculine man in your presence, a father, your father, is that it's not always financial. We've learned that, and I kind of think because of the time period that I was born, you started to see a shift in women working, men, so on and so forth. My family's from Birmingham, Alabama, so there are a lot of different things and nuances that used to fly then that now dramatically change, so on and so forth. But I don't think finances is the only component of it. But make no mistake, you are measured in society based on your level of provision. So damn all of them, you need to be a provider, one, for yourself. So you need to, young men and men accordingly, you need to be able to provide for yourself first. Your own home, shelter, car, so on and so forth. And then you can look at those other things of family, children, wife, all of that type. But yeah, you need to be able to provide it because the first level of provision is for yourself. You need to provide for yourself. You get on that flight go down, let's say put your mask on you first. If you ain't got no mask, what is there attractive about you? It is what it is. So
it is very much so. It is, man. I saw behind you. It just reminded me, man. You actually got 2 kids, low key, and this is for all the pet lovers like that. Because you got a dog, right?
Yeah. Yep. And what's crazy? Just like all of us when we grow up, like I don't know if anybody else parent did it, but like you get like a pet, like a goldfish, a turtle, dog, something that you like your parents force you to take care of. Because, you got a dog, bro. In the morning, it's cold, it's raining. You don't feel like going outside. You don't want to walk it, bro. You like down to the last bag of food. You like, do I really want to feed you? You know what I'm saying? Be part of the family. You know what I'm saying? So here's the thing. But you learn those lessons as children with chores, doing your homework, cleaning up. Those are the things that, when you get up on a Saturday, whatever it is, you do your chores, you make your bed up, so on and so forth. Those are disciplines that transition to life, right? You go to work. You have to go to work because you have to provide. Don't provide and see what society does for you. Like, there's no safety net for us. So I don't think that, again, when we talked about it before, don't run away from the challenge. It is what it is. And it's a beautiful thing when you learn this from other men that have went before you, because it's like, this is not scary at all. This is not scary at all. You're going to burn into bumps and challenges, but you got it. This is not scary at all. And when you cultivate a network, the beautiful thing is that I cultivated a network going through this process. And then through the favor of God, I was able to connect with someone who later on became instrumental in my life that absolutely changed it. And that's the beauty of what it is that we do. And I met him through network marketing. And he became instrumental to my life in terms of right now, I'm still providing for my family, network marketing, trading, and not, because of that one interaction and how I was able to, again, leverage that information, that wherewithal that we're talking about. You're going to have some ideas and the wherewithal to do things. And if you act on them, that's what the reward is. That's what that blessing is. So I think that's really, really important.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. I cannot quite remember if I asked you last time we were speaking, but from TV shows or movies that you watch, especially with us growing up, we're around the same age. Did you happen to have like a TV or movie father figure that you kind of looked up to?
Truthfully, no. Uncle Phil and all of that, because my dad was very rooted in reality, like those was for TV. So you already know it's kind of scripted to kind of play out this specific way. You see like the families on TV and all of that, and then you're like, no, that's not real in reality. That's not how this thing works. Like, we live in the projects, there's piss on the floor. That's not how that works. So I didn't have a TV dad, but what I did have was my dad. That was very instrumental. And then what I'd like to say is I was able to, again, take bricks from my dad, and then I had my uncles. I was able to take bricks from. I had individuals at the Boys and Girls Club. So Mr. Isaac, Pete Cepeda, I had a lot of individuals that were in that setting that I was able to grab bricks from, school. I was able to grab bricks from a lot of people that were there as well. So I think that my process was very different. I just learn to grab bricks and things from different people along that journey. And I think that was because of my early exposure to sports. So I wasn't a great athlete. I definitely suck, but I had to learn different things. Like, I had to learn how to dribble, shoot, And, throughout the process of hard work in high school. So this is why I really learned this shit in hard work, was that I got better each year. So one year, I think I had 4 points a year. And big as hell. You're like, how the hell you only get 4 points? Yep, just 4. Next year, it was 8. The year after that was 16. The final year, I averaged around 30 points and won a scoring title in my division. So I learned that hard work consistently over time would allow you to be great. And I think that's one of the biggest things. So I didn't have a TV dad, but I picked parts from different people's games, watching things, and I just wanted to work. So having that work ethic and then picking parts from different men and mentors along your journey. I was blessed enough to have a Boys and Girls Club. I was blessed enough to find network marketing. I was blessed enough to have a summer youth program that was there. And I was definitely blessed enough to have my family. My dad was important, my aunt, my grandmother, but even going through the system of, ACS or whatever they call it, going through adoption, it was my family that adopted. And then my aunt made sure that there were masculine, strong men around me, because you're not a woman. We view the world through 2 different spectrums. You need to view the world through strong, successful men spectrums that are in their industries, dominating, but then also take care of their families, do all those other things that add into masculinity. So I was blessed enough to have those things. And I think that's the power of building a network. And when done right, again, this is a family component. This is what happens. We have our children who need that brick by brick mentality to build their own edifice and build it. So despite how much we love McDonald's, you can't go out there and just slap McDonald's on the corner sign on the corner and say it's McDonald's. But you can build your own business by the way McDonald's runs the system, how they pay, what it is that they do, so on and so forth, and then it becomes your own business.
I ain't wanna get too stuck on that the basketball comment. I'm so glad that you finished telling the story because I was definitely gonna be like, all that talk you was saying about basketball and you was talking about you suck. I'm so glad that you finished telling the story, man. Because I was gonna be like, wait a second, that was just something you was doing.
You know what I'm saying? I got good. I had a mentor, bro, and it's crazy. John Isaac, God bless him. I used to go into the gym and practice before games, like shoot free throws, da da da. And he would come up to the gym. John Isaac was the back in the day. They had a all black team that was the first team to beat the Celtics. You can look them up. It's John Boy Wonder Isaacs. They won their first championship against the Celtics. And he would always come up to the gym and he would say, "Well, what are you going to do when the basketball goes flat?" What the fuck you mean, bro? I put some air in it. What you mean? I put some air in it, Johnny. Out. And I now understood what that, what that comment meant. That along your journey, again, you're gonna have a lot of challenges. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have things that are gonna go not your way. I wanted to be a great basketball star. I got shot in the knee, went away. What are you gonna do when the basketball goes flat? Working, job, EMS, different little, I want to say pit stops along my career that led me here, that ultimately led me to network marketing. And this is a part of the man journey because this builds your character, this builds your confidence, right? Those challenges shape who you are as a man, which ultimately you can pass those lessons off to someone else.
Man, in the words of a lot of people, that's a social media post. What are you gonna do when the ball goes flat, man?
One of the best lessons I heard, one of the best statements, and then as you internalize it later, as you look back, what are you going to do? So right now, you're in your career right now, da da da. What happens if there's a COVID again in your career? There's a lot of people who never thought COVID would happen. Of course you did, right? But those who study history will go, yeah, there's something like this that happens every 20, 30, 40 years, something of that nature. But what are you going to do when your basketball runs flat? So this is why I'm an advocate of the business that we're in because it allows you to create leverage. I'm an advocate of real estate and other ventures that allow you to create leverage for yourself, skill sets that allow you other income. Because what are you going to do if the basketball runs flat? When it runs flat, because it always does. So that was the thing that I learned, that the basketball always goes flat. There's going to be a point in your life where you're going to no longer want to do what you're doing, or you're going to be incapable of what it is that you're doing. What are you going to
Man,
not that shape of thinking from men that are already before me that are going back and saying, okay, do this, do that. I have grown ass men that, mentors, 6, 7 figures that say that there's some of their biggest achievements that they're experiencing now, or royalties, commissions, da da da, came from the work that they did 10, 20 years ago in a network marketing company. That's crazy. You like, what? Well, we got to get on the ball. We got to get on the ball. You look around. We got to get on the ball. I like what they doing.
And I don't even want to go that direction. I don't even we get, like I said, we can stay there. Yeah, but if there's anything for anybody that COVID showed and exposed is that there will be another COVID. It's just that it might not be a worldwide pandemic in the health realm. There will be another COVID though. And
it a little bit more. For a lot of us, like for me, back in 2018, 2019, that was my COVID because I lost my job. For some of us, COVID may be just you losing your job. COVID may be you gaining extra weight. COVID may be you going to the doctor and he's saying now you got high blood pressure. What is your COVID? Just the same way we talk about what do you measure as success? COVID may be, a relationship that you and your children or your wife, something like that goes awry or something like that. Like those things are real. So we talk about COVID and health. I want you to kind of think about it. And I did that too as well when it related to my career. And the beautiful thing was before COVID even happened, I was already trading in that field. I was already in sales that did not affect, COVID had no effect on my ability to earn during that time period. My business was still open, thriving. It was no shutdowns, no nothing. Everybody was still able to work every single day, mask and all of that, but there was no COVID. So there was some steps along that way that led me to that career because God knew there was going to be a COVID. I didn't know COVID, but God knew it was going to be a COVID. And because I was moving in a realm of faith with my goals and the things that in the visions and like that, and they had to come to pass, regardless of what happened in the world, I was still going to get the income that I wanted to set per month. I was still going to be blessed and highly favored because I just operated differently.
oh boy, anytime I'm conversing with Cash, I'm like, all right, cool. This probably be fairly quick.
Word.
and we can't have a quick call. It
I'm
just
just
doesn't happen.
put it in a part 3 or something, or whatever we got to do. But the conversations that we have are important, because a lot of times they're going to be young men that are going to hear this. They're going to be men in different walks and stages of life. They're going to hear this while they're taking a shower, while they're shaving, something like that, and something is going to click to them that's going to force them to do something differently. Whether it's go to the gym, reestablish a relationship with their family, save extra, put extra money for their life insurance, buy a new car, a trip, reconnect with someone in their family. I don't give a damn. But I know that the conversation that we're having is going to be absolutely powerful, as it's going to change the trajectory and the direction of the young men that are going to hear this, or the men in any stage or walk of life that are going to hear this, because it's going to be inspiring. So for this conversation to take place, it's going to water the seed of somebody else's faith towards what it is that they're going to do. And I'm just honored to be a part of it. And I'm blessed for this platform that makes these conversations important.
Yeah, man, that's basically where the vision came from, and I can make a video about that soon enough. I'll put that into practice, put that into existence. But for today, my last thing should be fairly quick. But I want to ask you, man, because you've mentioned it a couple of times last time that we spoke. You mentioned it definitely a couple of times today. 6 and 7 figure earning mentors that have been in place and that you still obviously associate with, and not to be in your business to that extent. Are you in a position now of being able to also include yourself within that category?
That is correct. I've been able to do that over the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years. COVID for me was the bursting of a seed that kind of like overflows to the other thing. So yeah, I'm in that realm and circle, top 5% of income earners. I'm in that realm and circle, and the beautiful thing is, it's from a multitude of things that I've done, invested in terms of my career, so on and so forth. So the answer to your question is yeah. And it's pretty dope to kind of do it, because I remember working at that Boys and Girls Club and only making $30,000 a year. Hearing Bob Proctor, didn't have a chance to meet him directly, but this is before he became an associate of our organization before he passed. But hearing him say, like, write a goal on a piece of paper and carry that goal with you, and da da da. And I remember, like, I don't know if this is real, but you just, again, you get that something in you urges you to do it. So I tried it, and those goals that I wrote down, those income levels that I set for myself, because I learned that those are all just frequencies, regardless of the company, opportunity, whatever it is, I'm going to get there. Those things paid off huge dividends, and the best thing that I did was get involved in network marketing, as it taught me the difference and how to go from one stage to another. So you're talking about someone that went from 30 grand a year to doing a lot more than that. A lot more than that. Double was like a couple of years ago. But the thing was, I had a mentor who said we're going to set goals. And one of those goals was, this is the year of double. And the beautiful thing was, I said double. So the income went like triple, quadruple. But then so did the expenses and lifestyle and all that other. So you got to balance both sides of this coin too. But again, it was just different things that I learned ascending through. So I'm a huge advocate of the sales industry, the personal development, the self-development industry. I think that when you're reading those books, when you're going to those events, you're attending those seminars, you're putting yourself out there, there's a reward for you. And the beautiful thing that I learned about this is that there's only two sides of the spectrum that you can really operate on. And one side is completely operated by faith. The other one is operated more on structure. So on the faith side, you can operate in one realm where faith is required, and you can operate on another realm where no faith is required. Now, I'm going to explain this, and it might trip some people out, but for your job, there's really no faith required for that. You go to work, they give you a check every 2 weeks, every week. For some of the people that are going to view this call, you're going to be like, you better give me a check every 2 weeks or a week, right? But on the opposite side of the spectrum, this is where a lot of entrepreneurs, goal setters, those that really ascend to the levels that we dream of, they operate in realms of no faith, where there's no guarantees. I'm in sales. There's no guarantee that I'm going to do well. There's no guarantee that I'm going to have an up year. You take that on the chin. That's a part of manhood, though. We do a lot of things that there's no guarantees for, and we're vowing for future return. And that's what essentially I learned. But The interesting thing about that was that when you read your Bible, it actually says that God is a rewarder of your faith. So you operate in one realm where no faith is required, but you expect big things to happen, where you should be transitioning over to a realm where faith is required. And it says in your Bible that it is impossible to please God without faith. So what I learned from a mentor was that you have to get involved in an opportunity where faith is required. That's why I love the sales industry. That's why I love network marketing, personal development, anything that was like commission based, salary based, whatever, because that immediately required you to be in a realm where your faith is required. And it says it is impossible to please God without faith. So I'll leave you with that one as we close out our call.
Boy, from everything that was just said, if I heard you correctly, that means that if I could throw that in there, and then we'll definitely close out for the day. Basically, from reading the Bible, that there's a lot of that is just in black and white.
There's a lot of principles in there on success that allow you to thrive, whether you believe in it or not. And those who believe in it, the beauty of it again is whether you believe in it or not, God is no respecter of persons. So you can apply those principles and they still can work in your favor. And I'm one of those individuals that has worked in my favor, being a believer and of course going through those process of unbelief, but then still using those principles that actually like helped me thrive here. Tithing, experience, and there's a whole thing, man. I'll tell you, bro, one of these days we're going to get on another call. Just going to be a Zoom. I'm going to show you that process of belief that I taught my team that I learned from one of my mentors as well.
Man, so well, once again with Cash, bro, it has for sure, just like last time, even better this time. It's been a pleasure, man. I do, and the platform, they appreciate your time, your expertise, your wisdom that you shared. I know that the father's watching too, for sure. Appreciate you, man. Just your realness, down to earth, man. You being belief of being that 6, 7. I'm gonna go ahead and speak an 8-figure earning. I'm gonna go ahead and speak a 9-figure earning example face to face, bro. I thank you. We thank you, man. And for us, walking with Dad, I appreciate your time sitting down with us, watching, listening today. If you could please like, comment, share, and if we have been sharing with you any kind of insight, any kind of knowledge, anything that is helpful, please subscribe to the channel as well. And we will see you on the next episode.